The structure of geometry is made up of first definitions. The first definition we're going to go over is a point. A point is a geometric figure with no length, width, or depth. Much like a point on a map represents a city, a point in geometry represents a place in space. If this point represents the town of Delano, I'm going to use a capital D to name that point. The notation for a point is a capital letter. Notice that there is no symbol for a point. There's no dot in front of or behind the point or the letter D. It's just a capital letter D. The next definition we're going to go over is a segment. If this point is Delano, south of Delano is a city named Watertown. If I start in Delano with this point, and I end in Watertown with this point, and I connect those 2 points by connecting the infinite number of points between those points, I create a segment. A segment is really made up of an endpoint and an endpoint and the infinite number of points between those points. The notation for a segment: endpoint D, endpoint W, with a line over the top of it. This represents segment DW. DW is also the same as WD, so I can reverse the order in which I name a segment. The next geometric figure we're going to go over is a ray. North and west of Delano is a town named Buffalo. If I start in Delano and connect all the points between Delano and Buffalo, I have a segment. If I keep going past Buffalo, I've created a ray. A ray is like a line segment with an infinite number of points past one of the endpoints added on. The notation for a ray: I need to start with my initial point, continue in the direction of B, and keep going past B. I'm going to use a line with an arrow to indicate that I have a ray. A ray can only be written this way. I can't start with B and go to D and write my line like this, nor could I start with B and go to D and reverse my ray. A segment I can reverse, a ray I can't. The next geometric figure we're going to go over is a line. East of Delano is Orono, and running between Delano and Orono is Highway 12. Now Highway 12 doesn't stop in Orono, it keeps going. And Highway 12 doesn't stop in Delano, it keeps going. A line is all the points between 2 points, and all the points past that point for infinity, and all the points past this point for infinity. Similar to a segment or array, I have 2 points with a line over the top of it, but this time I'm going to want 2 arrows indicating I'm going to go in both directions for infinity. Now this line is line DO. It's also line OD. I can reverse the order I list the letters in a line and a segment, but not array. And the last geometric figure we're going to go over is an angle. An angle is the space between two segments, rays, or lines. This angle right here is the angle BDO. When I name an angle, I'm going to use this symbol. It looks like a less than symbol with an arc through it. When I write this symbol by hand with this arc, I can tell that it's an angle and not a less than symbol. To name this angle, I'm going to put D as the middle letter because it's my vertex, and I'm going to list the directions in which my angle goes, from D to B in one direction and from D to O in the other direction. An angle is really how far apart two lines, rays, or segments are opened. Now I can name an angle in the reverse order as long as D remains my middle point. ODB is this same angle. Notice that D is still the middle point. Now, can I take a line and turn a line into a ray? Certainly. If you look at line DO, which is the same as OD, if I cut off one of the tails, I would have a ray. If I cut off this tail, I have ray DO. If I cut off this tail, I would have ray OD. Can I turn a line or a ray into a segment? Yeah. If I cut off this tail and this tail, I have segment DO.